Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to some EVE Online, and in today's video I want to answer a question that was asked on my latest EVE talk. It's from a pretty new player who asked me to explain the market in EVE Online a little bit. So I have to be honest, the question surprised me a little bit, but I think that's mostly like veteran syndrome, because if you've been playing EVE Online for several years, you tend to assume that the market in EVE Online and the market window is something that everyone knows about and everyone understands the same way we do. But the question reminded me of something that I saw in the help channel like a few years ago. There was actually a very new player who had just scooped up some loot from a mission, and he asked, how do I sell stuff? And that question did make some of us laugh a little bit, but it shows that the market mechanics are not necessarily something that people understand instinctively when it comes to EVE Online. EVE Online is of course an extremely complex game. It's one of the only true sandboxes out there, and the market itself, the player-run market, is of course a major facet of that. And so I think that as veteran players, we should not forget that this complexity is not something that everyone will understand instinctively or pick up extremely quickly. And so this is why I'm making this video, not so much for all of you guys that already play EVE Online or have been playing EVE Online for years and understand all of this stuff instinctively, but for new players or people that have never played EVE Online. I think the market here can be something, a bit of a mystery, something that that people do understand is extremely complex and part of the fun in EVE Online. But what is it all about? So before I get started on the market window itself, maybe I should quickly explain what we mean by the market in EVE Online. It is basically, and here I'm going to do a cardinal sin, but because it is aimed at non-EVE Online players, I'm also going to reference World of Warcraft once in a while. But the market in EVE Online is basically the collection of thousands of individual auction houses that are available throughout the game. A market or an auction house, as you would know it if you play other MMOs, is available in every NPC station, in every 0-0 outpost that is created by the players, assuming that you can dock there. The owners can actually keep you from docking, but there are market facilities available there. And since the Citadel expansion, players can actually create their own large or XL citadels and also add market functionalities to those citadels. And this of course means that in EVE Online there are thousands of small individual markets throughout all of the systems, or almost all of the systems, and all of these are basically small insular markets or auction houses as you would have known it. And in EVE Online, all of these together create the market of EVE Online. Why is this so unique? Well, the fact that there are thousands of them is so unique because this creates a dynamic that makes this market unpredictable. This has given rise to the profession of traders, people that move stuff from point A to point B. In fact, there is a corporation, there are several corporations that are just specialized in contracting that moves goods from point A to point B. And of course, sometimes you can buy something very cheaply in one region and try to sell it at a profit in other regions. So all of this creates trades, creates volatility, creates unpredictability, creates a real sandbox in the market of EVE Online. I think one of the most interesting aspects of this is that it created what we know as trade hubs. I'm pretty sure that almost anyone that has heard about EVE Online has heard about JITA, the Wall Street of EVE Online, the place where thousands of players gather. In fact, 200 players are in JITA right now, and where millions of transactions happen every day, billions of ISK is being traded every day inside this one station, JITA 44, the biggest trade hub of EVE Online. Other trade hubs after that are the Amar system of Amar, the capital there, that's also a trade hub. It's smaller than JITA, but it's definitely still sizable. Then we've got Dodixi for the Galente and Rennes for the Minmatar. And the interesting part of this, of course, is that this trade hub is created by the players, by the choices of the players. In fact, historically speaking, I'm not exactly sure which system it was, but there used to be a single trade hub when EVE Online was very young, that was extremely central to the game. But when CCP decided to discontinue certain Stargate connections around that system, it turns out that JITA became the best location, the most central location, and thus the trade hub was actually moved by the players on a decision of CCP to change something in the game from, I think it was July, but I'm not entirely sure, so from July to JITA as the major trade hub in the game, and that aspect of course is just all a part of the sandbox. So yeah, the market in EVE Online, it's something that may sound really complex, but it's basically thousands of individual little markets where players can buy and sell goods that they have acquired. Now when it comes to the market window itself, I think that's where the question actually, what the question actually was about. Let's take a look at that one. So obviously here on the left side you have basically an overview of everything that's available on the market. You always have a little bit of an option here to add some filters, so you can change the range, you can filter it by skills, CPU, etc. But I think the most important one here is that you want to show everything and not show only available. So like this, if you're in a individual market somewhere very far away where not a lot of stuff is being traded, show only available is going to disable a lot of these goods here because they're not being sold in the market. Of course in JITA it doesn't have an effect because pretty much everything is available in JITA, but if you can disable that, show only available, you disable that, then you always have an overview of everything that exists in the market in EVE Online that can be traded in the market in EVE Online. So munitions, drones, ships themselves, ship equipment, rigs, ship modifications, the skins, everything that can be traded and sold here. You can find that back if you disable this little window here. After that, of course, you want to take a look at an individual good. Let's take here one of the implants, for instance. So this is an implant that you put in your head and it's being sold and bought here on the market in JITA. So let's take a look here at the sellers, for instance. Someone is trying to sell 37 of these Genolution implants for 105 million. After that, someone is trying to sell 12 of them for almost 107 million, etc, etc. The one that you may notice here is that someone is selling 2,213 of them for just under 130 million ISK. What that means is that someone actually acquired 2,213 of these Genolution implants, put them in his inventory here in the station, and then right-clicked it, pressed sell items, and then set up the price, and he created a sell order. So every quantity that you're seeing here on the seller side is actually available inside the station. Under here, of course, there are buyers. These are people that want to buy these implants, but of course they would like to buy that at a cheaper price than people are selling them at. And so they can just create a buy order. I want to buy one implant for 94 million. This person here wants to buy 50 implants at 94,201.40. And here you can see the competition, the sandbox, the market in action, people trying to sell their goods at a good price, people trying to buy the goods at a cheaper price, and usually, of course, the sellers are at a higher price than the buyers themselves. And this is the market mechanic of EVE Online explained. If you want to buy something, if you want to sell something, this is probably the first window that you will look at. Let's say that you have some Genolution implants and you want to sell them pretty much right away. You can sell these to the buyers. You know that you'll get 94 million for an implant right here, or you can try to be patient a little bit, try to compete with the current sellers and put it up at a price, maybe 104 million if you're willing to undercut, maybe 106 million if you think that at some point the price is going to increase and you actually think that that's a fairer price. Of course, if you want to start doing that, this active trading, you'll want more information than just the current sellers and the current buyers. That is when trends become very important. And this is why we have the next window right here, which is the price history window. And this one is actually filled with a lot of information. This is how I'm setting up the price history window myself for EVE Talk, a weekly blog that I do about the market in EVE Online. And this is actually a very simple, but I think a very clear picture of what's happening with the goods. So we can see in general, this is a 6-month chart. You can go up to a year. but I prefer to work with the 6-month chart, so you still have some details available as well. You can see that we started at a price of 120 million and we are currently at just above 100 million, so we actually lost 20 million over the last 6 months, but you can see that it was with some volatility going down to 90 million, then back up to 110, back down to 85 million at a very low point, and now lately in the last few months we've actually been going back up a little bit. Now what are all of these individual lines here? The green line is the 20-day moving average, so this is an average of the price in the 20 days before the actual point here. So if we would say the point at April 1st is right here, then this would be the average of the last 20 days before that. The red line, you can see that there's a bit more detail in that one, is the same thing for the last 5 days. You can always right click, you can hide the 20-day moving average or show it again. You can hide the 5-day moving average or show it again, and then these points are the daily average, the daily median price, I think it is. Let's take a quick look. Median day price, so the median is not the exact same thing as an average, but this basically shows per day what the good was sold for. One thing that this can help, for instance, is if you want to spot out the bottom, then you will notice here at the very end, just before that, you can see these yellow points below the 5-day moving average. This pulls the price back down, but here at the bottom you can see that we start to be above that, and that's an indication that we'll actually start to go back up in price. So all of this of course can give you an idea of the current trend, which, for instance, here at the tail end, if you want to know what are these Genealotions going to go, it's unpredictable, it's a player-run market, but this information can give you a bit of an idea. What I'm noticing here myself, for instance, is that the 5-day and the 20-day moving average are very close together. We have data points or medium average prices below and above both of these prices. So it looks like here we've been stabilizing a little bit. The latest two though have been higher, and so we could go slightly higher here in the foreseeable future. So we'll either move sideways or higher. That would be my personal prediction, seeing the very tail end of this chart. You can also of course go in the last 10 days if you want some actual detail on this, but personally I like to just work from the 6-month chart myself. So below here you also have the volumes that I'm also using for the Eve talk to try and analyze things. This is pretty simple, right? You have daily volumes, you have a bar every single day, and over here at the bottom right side you actually have a scale for that. So you can see, for instance, that on average 50 to 100 of these implants are being sold in JITA every single day. If you go for something that is much more common, let's say titanium, like the most common mineral out there, you can see on the volumes that this is being traded between 10 and 20 billion units every single day in JITA. Here you get the volumes, and for instance here a big increase in volume. This must have been 30 or 40 billion units of titanium sold in a single day for 2 consecutive days. So that is of course something that's pretty instinctive that I also add to these charts. Let's quickly go back to the implant to continue showing what's happening on the chart. So this is how I personally just keep my chart, but there's much more information if you want it. You could have seen that already from the right click. What I don't show is the min-max here, which I think can be pretty useful information, but this is not that easy to interpret and really starts to put a lot more information on the chart. So this is the daily min-max of the price, of course. So here, for instance, something sold at, one of these implants at least sold at 90 million, one sold for close to 110 million, and then the median price right here, it's not exactly the same as the average. It's not always right in the middle of this. In fact, sometimes it bugs out a little bit because here we don't have a min-max, or only one implant or only a couple implants sold for the exact same price. That's possible as well. But this, personally, I don't know enough to exactly interpret the min-max and try to get information out of that, which is why I'm not showing it. So hide min-max, or maybe I'll show it, because if you want to show everything, you also have something called the Dokyun channel. which is basically the minimum and the maximum price, the highest price and the lowest price that the good has traded for a period of time. So it's not the exact same thing as the min-max. This actually, as you can see right here, is probably like 10 days or something like that. Over this period, the min-max went way lower, but the Dokyun channel gives you the min-max over a set period of time, which can be very good information if you want to know volatility within a good. So if this is very narrow, if the Dokyun channel is very narrow, then that shows that there is not a lot of volatility in the good. If it is very wide, like right here, you can see that there is a decent amount of volatility on the trades in that particular good that you're looking at. But you can also clearly see that this chart becomes just a bit of information overload. I don't really like it that much. In fact, when I started doing ETH talk, I was showing the chart like this, and it's actually someone else that said, well, hide this and hide that so that you have a bit of a cleaner chart. Honestly, here it's still okay. You can clearly still follow the trends and everything, but sometimes in certain market situations, also in certain very stable goods, all of this information starts to show some really crazy stuff. For instance, goods that are almost never traded can put this min-max and this Dokyun channel in completely crazy places because an individual good, an individual trade did happen at, let's say, 200 million. You can imagine this chart goes from 70 million to 130 million, 35 million, decently stable. But if a single one of these implants would somehow get traded for 200 million because it is extremely rare or something like that, then of course this Dokyun channel is going to be completely crazy for a while, and you'll get a chart that is just not useful anymore for trying to spot trends, trying to spot what's actually happening. And this is why for ETH talk I hide the min-max and I hide the Dokyun channel, so we just stay with the 20-day moving average, daily average, and the 5-day moving average with the volumes at the very bottom here. And that is basically, yeah, the market window. It's a lot of information. If you like trading, if you like economics and things like that, then you will get a lot out of that. But this is the market in EVE Online, guys. And this here, for instance, I now have this filter set at 0 jumps so that I only see what's in this system and in this individual station, because it is the largest trade hub. You can of course set these filters any way you want. You can check it out over larger regions as well. But keep that in mind. Every single station is an individual little market, an individual little auction house where trades can be done, and this creates vast opportunities to buy cheap, try to sell high in the right place. This creates the dynamic, the sandbox experience in EVE Online. And in fact, from CCP Ayok, who used to work at CCP as the economist there for EVE Online, he always said that the market, this right here, is the real PvP of EVE Online, because value is really what a lot of this is about, the virtual value of the EVE Online economy. Even the wars are about that stuff. This is the real action of EVE Online. So I thought it was a really good question. I hope that this can give you guys a bit of perspective on the market and gives you guys some information on if you want to set up your market window depending on the information that you want. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.